What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? It's your boy Chris Style with my guy Clarence. Arrowhead Chief Podcast, episode 141. This is the Lions vs. Chiefs preview show. We're gonna
Week
get into
one,
the
baby.
game. Yeah, week one, Thursday. Can't get here fast enough. Got a lot of stuff to get in. We got some special guests too. Let's talk Chiefs.
Yeah, Arrowhead Chiefs. It's your girl, Miss Nicole. Queen of Hustle, baby. Started from the bottom, now we here. My homie at the start of his career. Let's go. Try to win him early, hear the truth. Tune in every Sunday for the juice. Arrowhead Chiefs Podcast, bringing all the news. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Chris Style, out here rapping for the crew. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube. If you missed the play, come back for reviews. Post game highlights, go subscribe on YouTube.
What's up, everybody? We are back. Arrowhead Chief Podcast. Hope everybody's having a good evening. We got a special guest on today. The One Pride podcast is on. What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Good. How you guys doing?
Chilling, man.
Doing well, man. Thanks for having us.
No problem. No problem. Before we get into like all the specifics and all that, how long have you guys been doing y'all pod?
So we started our pod midway through the 2018 season. Yeah, so this is probably the first year where we've had like legitimate like expectations for this football team to do something like as far as winning a division and hosting a playoff game and having big hopes in general.
Yeah. Well, that's a good segue because what are your guys' expectations for this season?
I think it's to win a division and host a playoff game, right? I mean, you guys kind of went through that a few years ago where like you were bad, then you hired Reed and Reed kind of changed it up and made it better. I feel like that's kind of happened here. We got Campbell. The team is trending up. It's to host a playoff game and hopefully to win a playoff game. But you got to win the division.
Yeah, no, I'm right in sync with Peter right there. You got to win a division this year for the Lions. Third year of this whole thing starting with Dan Campbell, Brad Holmes. This is the third year of the regime. This is the year you expect to kind of take off. I think last year was, a fun year. Was a great second half, and you hope you could bring that momentum now coming into this season. And like Peter mentioned, you got to win the division, host a playoff game, and then ideally win that playoff game at home if you're hosting it. But something that the Lions haven't done in forever. It's won the division since I think 93 was the last time, or 94 was the last time they won the division. So winning the NFC North would be huge for this city and just for the Lions in general.
So y'all have the utmost confidence, the utmost respect for golf to be able to get you guys over the hump. Like he doesn't have to worry about looking over his shoulder or anything.
Some fan, I don't want to say some, a little of that fan base still has their questions, but it seems like Campbell and Holmes, they're riding with him. They've actually had extension talks with him. They said they've been good dialogue. So they're riding with him. And if it doesn't work out, they took Hendon Hooker in the third round, and I'm sure you guys know about Hooker. Right. So, you got a good insurance policy in case something doesn't work out.
Yeah, I'm kind of in sync with Pierre right there. It's like, I'm expecting Goff to, I have the confidence in Goff. Had a very productive year last year for the team. You got the same offensive coordinator. Maybe if they didn't have Ben Johnson coming back this year, there'd be a little more concern coming into the year. But with bringing the whole band back together, having an offensive line that he's used to and having the weapons that he's used to, I'm in sync. I think Goff is poised to have another pretty good year.
I agree. I was a fan of Goff back when he was with the Rams. I didn't see any flaws in the game. As long as you give him weapons and you put a running game around him, much like any quarterback, he's going to have that success. So, yeah.
Right. There's been a lot of major changes in y'all guys' division, NFC North. No more Aaron Rodgers. Now it's Jordan Love.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be the third year of I'm drawing a blank. What's the quarterback?
Justin Fields
in Chicago. They made a lot of additions.
Right.
Minnesota made a couple additions. So what is your viewpoint of the NFC North this year?
I think it's the Lions to lose personally, and I like all bias aside. When you lose a guy like Aaron Rodgers, it's hard to replace him. I don't care who it is at quarterback.
Right.
And then you look at the Bears. I mean, they're still kind of in that rebuilding phase. It's like their O line is still a mess. Their D line isn't all that, and we say we win football games in the trenches, right? So that's another thing. And then you mentioned the Vikings. The Vikings had a lot of turnover on defense. They lost a lot of key vets. They lost Dalvin Cook, but they still got Kirk Cousins and Jetta. They added Hawkinson from us. They drafted Addison. I think the Vikes will probably be number 2 in the division if I had to guess, but I still think it's ours to lose.
Yeah, it's a lot of to be determined, honestly, because you don't know what to really expect of the Packers. They're a real wild card right now. They could be a good team. They could be going through a phase right now because we don't really know what to expect out of Jordan Love. But and even their offense in general, they have a lot of young guys. They're just a young team in general. They had a lot of turnaround with losing Rodgers, like Pierre mentioned. So they're a big what are we going to get out of them? But they're a team it's kind of hard to count up because they just have such a good history of being able to just win games. So they're just known for winning games. The Packers are one of the greatest franchises in NFL history. So. But it's going to be interesting to see how they look without Aaron Rodgers. Now Jordan Love finally under the helm and had a pretty good preseason. So we'll see how he looks this year when the bright lights actually come on and the regular season actually starts. So they're a huge wild card. I don't really know what to expect with the Packers. The Bears, I'm pretty much in agreement with Pierre. I think they'll definitely improve their win total what they were last year. It's pretty hard to be worse than what they were last year. Only had 3 wins last year. So I could even see them doubling or even getting 7 wins this year. I think they are destined to improve this year. Second year under the rebuild. I can see them kind of having a similar season to kind of like the Lions did last year. That's kind of what I expect out of Chicago, especially with adding all those pieces to their offense and having Fields another year. I think he'll improve. And then Vikings, they're a weird team, dude. They're a very weird team. Had a lot of subtraction to their defense. And even last year, I know they won 13 games, so you should probably respect them more. But it just kind of felt like they were, to a certain extent, lucky. And you don't want to call any wins the NFL lucky, but a lot of just 1-score wins, a lot of wins that could have gone either way. I just don't see that same track record happening this year for the Vikings. So I don't know really what to expect out of them either. I'm almost to a certain extent a little more scared of the Packers and Bears a little bit, but I don't know. It's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely, like I said, a lot of turnaround in that division. Like you said, you don't know what to expect from Jordan Love. I mean, he looked decent in preseason, and there were some games last year where he came in late and he looked decent, but you still got to put it all together in the regular season. And like you said, the Vikings, I mean, they go as Kirk Cousins go. If Kirk Cousins is, he has his, it's a roller coaster with Kirk Cousins. You have a game where Kirk Cousins looks great, and then you have your game where Kirk Cousins looks bad. And, we'll see in that defense. Right. And we'll see how that defense, I mean, the defense was a liability last year. Let's see if they, can be better this year. And
the
Bears,
other thing, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying the Bears, with Justin Fields, just okay, they gave him weapons, they made some additions. Now we got to see if he can throw the football, on a consistent basis and not just be a running quarterback, kind of like how Lamar Jackson was his first season.
Right.
We got to see if he can put it all together as a dual threat quarterback. Go ahead, Clarence, what you was going to say?
I was just going to touch on the Vikings. It's real funny that during the training camp, they were trying to get Kareem. They wanted Kareem Hunt. Mm-hmm. So them losing Dalvin Cook, I don't know if Alexander Madison is what they were hoping he was going to be, because I mean that offense. You look at screen plays and big plays on the ground. That came from Dalvin. That wasn't Alexander.
Right.
So I don't know if they're going to take a step back in that running game, which is not going to help Kirk. Because he's got a rookie on the outside. You lose a Thielen. Yeah, you signed TJ. You still got Jettas, but, I mean, that hurts.
Right.
Especially when he's second year in the system and he's getting comfortable in it. Now he has to rely on a rookie outside. So he had Thielen last year. He still has Osborne, but, I mean, it's turnover. Yeah, it's the National Football League. There is turnover, but you can't lose a Thielen and a Cook and say, hey, I think we can still duplicate what we did last year. Like,
Yeah,
got to
Yeah.
dig in for some adversity.
for
It's
sure.
definitely going to be some growing pains.
And they lost to
Right.
Darius Smith, arguably their best pass
Yeah,
rusher. I mean, they still have Daniel
yeah.
Hunter, but like they lost to Darius Smith on the defense side of the ball. So yeah, no, they're a big team to be determined, honestly. And going very quickly to the Bears, it's like I think a lot of people are expecting Fields to kind of really have this big breakout year, and I like Justin Fields. I think he's a good quarterback, but like people expecting that Jalen Hurts turnaround, I just don't see that because I don't think they have that
Mm,
same personnel that Hurts had, last year. I mean, the offensive line is still very suspect. And that receiving core, like I know DJ Moore is a good receiver and he's a number one, but I don't think it has that same effect as like AJ Brown did last year for the Eagles. I just don't see it with the Bears having that same turnaround on offense because there's just still so many moving factor pieces, and they lost the running back to us, Montgomery. So how
mhm,
are they going to look now with Khalil Herbert, and then they drafted Roshan Johnson, and they have Dante Foreman from the Panthers. So like there's still a lot of moving pieces there too. So how are they going to look? And the receiving core outside of DJ Moore is still very suspect to me because Chase Claypool has improved much in that offense, and then it gets really slim pickings after him.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. I mean, like I said, going into the season, I always said that your guys' division is one of the more interesting divisions because there's a lot of, stuff that's going to be answered by the end of the season. So definitely something to look out for.
For sure.
Um, Going back to your head coach, Dan Campbell, what are your guys' viewpoints on Dan Campbell? Like, what do you got? What does Detroit feel about Dan Campbell?
Detroit loves Dan Campbell. He literally embodies the city of Detroit. The team mantra is grit. And if you like, Detroit's all about blue collar, hardworking, put your head down, work. That's the kind of players he brings into hard workers, tough players, guys that have been through adversity, that can handle adversity. Like they were saying the other day, they don't just draft talented players. They draft football players, guys that are tough, guys that are gritty. So that's the attitude of him as well. Campbell is, I remember like when he was first hired, everyone was making fun of the kneecap, all that. This guy's crazy. This guy's nuts. But man, he knows how to motivate a group of guys. He's a heck of a coach. And I think Tyler probably agrees with me.
Yeah, I think the thing with Dan was like we were always just waiting for the results to come in, and that's where everyone was waiting. And like even on last year, I kind of had a little pushback with Dan when they got off to the slow start. I was kind of questioning is he the right guy for the job? But I think we saw, especially in that second half, when they got on that hot streak, almost made a playoff. Almost made the playoffs if the Seahawks lost that game week 18 to the Rams, and we were in it, and that would have been huge for this team. You saw results finally come in, and now it's like, okay, now we got a full year. Um, let's see what he could do now with a full year. Let's not get off to a cold start like we did last year. And yeah, I'm with Pierre. Yeah, there's a lot of optimism there with Campbell, and that's reason why all the expectations are coming from everywhere. Local media, national media. You're getting expectations everywhere of winning the division and being a true NFC contender this year. So, and I think that starts with your head coach and the culture that he's built, and now finally having some results to back it up.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I like what I see from Dan Campbell. Of course, like you guys said in the beginning, the whole kneecaps and the stuff that he did in his open presser. Everybody's making fun of him, but since he's came in there, and I've seen it, even when that first year, I saw it. The guys played hard for him. And one thing when the team is losing, and they have a losing record, but it's still at the end of the season and they're still playing hard. That says a lot to me that the head coach still has their ear, he still has their attention, and they're buying into the program. They just, they know it's going to take some time. So I've been impressed with what I've seen from Dan Campbell for sure. So in the offseason, you guys made some additions on offense and defense. What are your guys' viewpoint on your guys' draft and some of the offseason free agencies that you guys have brought over to the Lions?
So offensively, obviously, I'm a big fan of positional value. I believe in that. But then once I heard when Holmes said, like the GM, he basically said this wasn't like a strong class at the top. I believe he only said he had like 10 or 11 first or 14 first round grades or something. Typically, he says there's 18 to 19 of them. And then you just look at the talented players. Gibbs, I'm not a fan. Honestly, I'm not a fan of taking running backs early in the draft. But he basically said, we're not just going to use Gibbs as a running back. We're going to use him all over the field, everywhere. Then, once you see that speed, it gets you a little excited, So you ride with it. And then you see Jack Campbell, the best linebacker in the draft. They had a first-round grade on him as well. So, you get two of your top guys you trade back to 12 and at, 14 or 15? I forgot what it was. It's a pretty good first round, But just the value for me, I wasn't a fan of it. But, once you hear the GM talk and how they're going to use these guys and stuff, you love it. I mean, Gibbs, I'm pretty sure you guys would have loved Gibbs in your office. You guys were probably hoping he'd fall to you guys somehow. He's fast. He could do passing game, running game. He could do a little of everything for you.
Yeah. No, I mean, one thing I was looking this offseason was just to add impact starters right away. And I think that's what they did, especially in the draft. Like, they got impact starters. They got 4 starters, I think, in this draft with Gibbs, Campbell, and Laporta, and then Brian Branch they got in the second round, which was not a lot of people expect him to be at that point. So the big point was to get impact starting players. They got that in the draft. They got 4 of them, in my opinion. And then in the offseason, the free agency market, they got even more guys. They went out and paid Gardner Johnson. They went out and paid Cam Sutton. That was important. So just getting good impact starters and bringing back the players that were very important to this team last year, like an Anzalone, I think was important for this team. So, yeah.
Rodrigo.
Yep. Yeah. And you got just a lot of comfortability of what the guys that you have out there. And, Gardner Johnson obviously has a connection with our DC, Aaron Glenn. They work together in New Orleans. So that's going to, I think, be a good mesh together back here in Detroit. So, no, I really like what they did in this offseason. Like I said, just getting impact players are going to help contribute right away.
Yeah, and to go off Tyler, too, like the secondary last year had a ton of, Campbell called it MAs, misassignments, or bad communication. You bring in Cam Sutton, we hear Mike Tomlin talk about this guy makes sure everyone's lined up correctly. He communicates real well. You bring CJ Gardner, who's a talker, he's going to make that swagger. Last year, we didn't really have a swagger to our defense. We didn't really have a guy that talked his shit. You got to talk a little. You guys know that, right? We didn't really have that. And now the other younger guys are kind of taking that swagger and using that swagger. So he's bringing swagger to the DBs room. That's nice to see.
Yeah.
I think you guys probably have one of the best overall linebacking cores in the league. Like, you talk about Anzalone, you got Barnes,
Right.
Rodrigo, Jack Campbell. I mean, like, y'all have a really good linebacking core. Really good linebacking core.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with that.
What was your guys' thoughts on when the whole Jameson Williams situation happened?
It sucked. Like, when you look at it, like, why do you know the rules? But then you hear later on, like, agents and teams were complaining, like, the NFL didn't really explain the rules that well. Honestly, man, if you're betting on a game, not on football, like, I think the rule is stupid, right? But I don't make the rules. He was betting on a game at a team hotel, not on a football, not on an NFL game. I think it's kind of bullshit, excuse my language, but it is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the rule sucks, obviously, and it obviously takes a hit to the Lions like roster itself because we were counting on JMO to be a starting outside receiver. Big expectation, drafted him in the first round the year previously, so it definitely stinks. And it kind of puts a setback to his development too, because now it's going to be almost like 2 years where he just didn't have a true season. Like last year, obviously we knew that was expected when we drafted him with the torn ACL. He was going to recover, come back late, but we didn't expect much out of him because he obviously wasn't in training camp, didn't get to learn the offense as much as long as being on the field. And then now this year, you're going to miss him in the suspension where he can't even be at the facility for, I believe, the first 4 to 5 weeks. So that's definitely a big hit to the progression of Jameson Williams, who needs every rep right now. And it definitely sucks because, like I said, we had big expectations for Jameson Williams, and it kind of hits the receiving core. Like they brought in like Marvin Jones, who was a solid player, but he's older now. You can't really count on him to be your wide receiver too, like you did for JMO. And then you have Josh Reynolds and Khalif Raymond, who are good receivers, but like your expectation was for Jameson Williams to be on the outside and be their number 1 guy. And now that you don't have that, it definitely does stink. And you're counting on some of these older vets to kind of take over for a little bit until Jameson Williams does come back. And even when he comes back, it's going to be interesting to see how he looks right away because, like I said, he's not going to be able at the facility and he can't have contact with the Lions. So And he got injured in the preseason, so it's a lot going on Jameson's plate right now.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe he come back week 4 to the facility. So,
Oh, for sure. Yeah, because there was a lot of talk for the Chiefs was going to go up and grab Jameson Williams, and so um, when it didn't happen, it was just like, oh man, because we, us Chief fans, we really wanted him last year, but you know what I'm saying? It was. I feel like he's a playmaker waiting to happen. He has that speed, and you saw it in the national championship game before he got hurt. He pretty much flipped the game. Once he got hurt, that's when Georgia took over because he was killing Georgia. So he's
right.
definitely a playmaker. And Amon St. Brown is a beast too. So that's somebody definitely that's on our radar when we talk about the Detroit Lions is him because we know he's going to get a lot of touches and he's going to test these young corners and that we have. So
For
definitely
sure.
watching out for him too.
What about Dylan Drummond? Is he still on the practice squad, or did y'all pull him up?
Dylan Drummond is on the practice
Yeah,
squad.
right now he's on the P squad. It could potentially be an elevation because they have those new NFL rules where you could elevate guys. So
Right.
we'll see
I mean,
tomorrow. Yeah.
with J-Mo being out, and one of the biggest things I saw was I think it was the first preseason game. I think Nate Sudfeld was the quarterback,
Right.
and they ran a play action pass and they threw it a deep over to J-Mo, and he had contact and he dropped it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and that was telling, like, okay, so he needs to get more accustomed to that contact when he's
Right.
catching the football in the NFL, instead of that gap of having a step on a guy in college. He's still trying to make that transition. And then you see a kid like Dylan Drummond on a couple comeback routes and things of that nature, and he's catching them, contested catches. You know what I mean? So, but that was just week 1 that I had seen him play. So,
Yeah, I mean, he only played that game because he got hurt in practice in the Jaguars joint practice, so he didn't get to play in the Jaguars preseason game and in the Panthers preseason game, which sucks because he needs every rub that he needs, like you mentioned. Because no, there's definitely still a big learning curve for JMO. We've seen it, and like I said, it's tough to really count on him even when he does come back because there's still that curve, and he's not going to be able to practice with the team for the first 4 weeks. So, like I said, there's a lot on this plate for JMO. Hopefully, these other vets could step up in his spot while he's out, and we'll see what happens when he does come back.
Yeah, for sure. So Aiden Hutchinson, he had a really good rookie season. He was really good as far as like he got a couple picks last year, and he was good at rushing the passer.
Yeah.
He's very disruptive. What are your guys' expectations for him in year 2?
When he was coming out, I viewed him like a JJ Watt, Bosa type of player. And I still view him like that, He's a guy who just plays relentlessly, good against the run, good against the pass. He doesn't give up. He has a high motor. He just keeps going and going and going. Our expectations are actually double-digit sacks. Like this is, and in camp, he's had a great camp. He's almost been unblockable from what we've heard. So he's due for a big year, man. I am excited about Aiden Hutchinson. That guy is a dog. He came from our backyard too, played at Michigan. Tyler and I are both Michigan fans.
Right.
So like we've seen this kid basically grow as like a kid at Michigan to becoming a pro in the NFL.
I mean, yeah, even if you're locally, he's from Michigan as well. Like he played high school ball here. I mean, so he's high school, college, and now the NFL. It's been a phenomenal story, and yeah, no, this is a big year for Hutch, and we have huge expectations from him. He was very good for his last year in his rookie season. So year 2, expecting even more out of him. And the nice thing with Hutchinson is like he's got a good surrounding cast on the defensive line, which helps a lot. You got guys like James Houston kind of came out of nowhere from Jackson State, from Deion school.
Isaiah Buggs.
Yeah, Isaiah Buggs. Yeah, he was pretty good. He's probably not going to play in this game. Actually, they confirmed he's not going to play in this game versus the Chiefs. But Lee McNeil, he's on that D line, and you got John Kaminsky, you got Charles Harris. You got a lot of good players on this defensive line. So it really helps out Hutchinson. He's the main anchor that really gets it going, but it helps a lot when he's got a supporting cast as well. So yeah, like Peter said, I'm expecting double-digit sacks if he's able to play all 17 this year.
Yeah, he actually he went past my expectations last year because I didn't when he was coming out of college. I saw him in Michigan and I thought he was pretty good. But when I saw him in that Georgia game, I was just kind of like, I don't know. But he
Right.
showed me some stuff last year, and he showed me that he's got a chance to be a really really dominant player in this league. So if he
Mhm.
continues to stack and continue to work on his technique and work on some moves as far as a pass rusher goes, then I think he can be one of the dominant pass rushers in this league for sure. So
So, fun fact with him too. Last year, he was like the second most double teamed edge, I believe, behind
Mhm.
Bosa. So, like teams actually respected him a lot and feared him
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I mean, he made everybody else better along that front. Like
for sure.
the talent gap was so large that teams wanted to double him, and that freed up everybody else along that defensive front, and they
Yeah,
cashed in on it. They were making plays and actually holding their own with them. So, I mean, that's how you get an 8-2 record over the last 10. You know what I mean? Like
right.
guys buying in and guys making the most of opportunities. That's how you get an 8-2 record.
Yeah.
yeah, most definitely, most definitely. All right, when you guys saw the schedule this year and you saw the first game, it's going to be an Arrowhead. It's banner night. It's prime time. What were your guys' initial thoughts? Were you guys excited? Were you guys like, damn, we
I'm
in
not
this
gonna
Tell
spot?
the
lie.
truth.
We in this
Tell the
spot?
truth. Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
I'm
Tell the
not gonna
truth.
lie.
Tell the
Before the
truth.
schedule release, I'm like, I want them on prime time or Thanksgiving. Well, if we can have things, I want them on. I want them to game one. Tyler could tell you. I literally texted him. I was like, I want the Chiefs the first game of the year. Let's show the world who we are.
Yeah, no, it gives you chills, like, because we don't get stuff like this. You guys are used to this stuff. You guys are like, this is like just a normal game for you guys. But like, for us, like, we don't get stuff like this. So to see the Lions open the season, like, I was like just looking back at it on yesterday on Labor Day Monday. I'm like, the Lions are really opening the season versus the Chiefs on they open up the season like that. That's just stuff that doesn't really happen to
But
us.
but you beat Aaron Rodgers in Lambeau to close out the
Right,
season.
right.
You
That's
Right.
know
what
what I mean? Like
that's
y'all
what,
closed them out. Y'all kept them out of the playoffs. Like
yeah. That's our
you had
last
to
two
know they
games.
was gonna recognize that. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
gotta recognize. Got to.
yeah.
For
Yeah,
No,
sure.
most
That's
definitely.
not easy to do.
no,
No,
not in
That's not
No,
Lambeau.
easy
it's
to do.
not. It is not. We knocked him out of the playoffs, and his last pass was to our safety, Kirby Joseph. So that feels good too.
Yeah, so no, it's exciting. Obviously, we're not taking the Chiefs lightly by any stretch of the imagination because obviously they have their resume. They won the Super Bowl, and you never want to count out Reed and Mahomes. But no, man, it's very exciting to get the first game of the season, and for really everyone now to see what the Lions are made of. It like, during the 8-2 stretch, we were just playing 1 o'clock games most of the time. So like, not everyone had their eyes on the Lions. Now, I want to see everyone get their eyes on the Lions. I don't know if we necessarily win the game, but I think it's going to be a good competitive game all the way around. So I'm definitely excited for this game.
Yeah, most definitely. I agree. Got a question down here, man, Dorian. What does the Lions secondary look like? Any expectations for improvement?
So yeah, your outside corners right now are Cam Sutton. Mosley is dealing with that injury. They're going with 30-year player Jerry Jacobs. He was undrafted in 2021, but he's really just improved every single year. And then your nickel is actually Brian Branch, the rookie Brian Branch. He's had a phenomenal camp. One of the best players on defense in camp, actually. Then your safeties are Kirby Joseph, second-year player, elite range, and obviously you guys know CJ Gardner-Johnson, just a dog. So you got a good mixture of youth and veterans and guys who make plays.
And when does Emmanuel come back?
So mostly been practicing this week, but he didn't do nothing during training camp. So I think he's gonna be inactive this week. If he's active, he might play a little, but I'm guessing maybe week 2. We have that mini bye week.
Mm-hmm.
Week 2, maybe he comes back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we probably don't. Yeah, if he does play, there probably wouldn't even be much of an expectation for Mosley to do much, just because it'll probably be Sutton and Jerry Jacobs on the outside, and then the nickel, like Peter mentioned, it'll be Brian Branch.
Okay, cool. So going into this game, who are some key players for you that you think that the people should be watching out for?
All right, I'm not gonna lie. I looked at your tackles last year, Donovan Smith and Jawan Taylor. They didn't have the best years last year. Now, I don't know how they look in this scheme, but we're just going off last year because that's what we saw. Donovan Smith was a penalty machine. We played Jawan Taylor. Jawan Taylor is one of the most helped tackles actually in the league last year. in terms of getting help. And we got Hutchinson, and on their side, you want to put Harris, James Houston. I think those guys could kind of expose that a little, kind of expose your tackles a little. So I think that's one thing to watch. Another thing to watch out is everyone knows Amon-Ra, right? I'm going to say 26, the rookie Jahmyr Gibbs.
That's what I was going towards.
We don't even know how, honestly, we're going to use him yet. They just it's a surprise. And Ben Johnson, the offense coach, said, you're going to be surprised how we're going to use him in ways that you never thought of. Like, all right, but let's go.
Yeah, and especially with no JMO now, like we mentioned earlier, like we need a pass catcher to step up, and and Jahmyr Gibbs is more than just a running back. He's obviously arguably a better pass catcher than a running back. So I expect him to have a big role in this passing game as well. So yeah, 26 is going to be one to keep out for. Another one, I'll give it another one that's maybe not as big of a name. 87, Sam Laporta. They drafted him in the second round. They have big expectations already. The starting tight end. So obviously his first NFL game is going to be this Thursday. So it's going to be interesting to see how they use him in this game.
Yeah, for sure. Clarence, go ahead and give us some key players on the Chiefs side.
This game is going to have to be the whole defense. It's going to take an entire 11 men to the football. Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Drew Tranquil. Back in the secondary, Brian Cook, Justin Reed, they're going to have to make plays because finding that matchup of where Gibbs is going to be key because he can run inside, he can run outside, he can run for power, he can run for speed. You can line him up outside. He can route you up like he's Reggie Bush 2.5, 3.5, 4.5, 5.5. He is that. So they're going to have to key on him all night.
All night. I agree.
And Laporta, too. Laporta can catch in traffic, too. This is going to be interesting, man.
It would definitely have to be our linebackers. Nick Bolton, Willie Gay, Tranquil, Chenal, they all going to have to be on assignment, especially when Gibbs is catching out of that backfield. Because one thing the Chiefs have problem with is running backs catching out of the backfield. We are not good at that. When it comes to the run, we've gotten a lot better with that. But when it comes to that catching out of the backfield, we always get gashed up. So those guys and also that defensive line, whoever is in the middle, Nadi, Turk, Warden, George Carlisle, all of them. Their front seven is probably going to be because I think the front seven will affect, like you always say, Clarence, it will affect our secondary. So definitely our front seven is going to have to be on board, especially with 9-5, not in the middle. Guys are going to have
or
to be
90.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
90.
Charles Omenihu, who,
he was pretty good, man.
We picked up in the offseason.
Yeah.
So, and now he's out for 6 games with the suspension.
They both gone this week.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's gonna take a collective effort for our defense to stop your guys' offense.
So I got a question regarding your young corners, right? Obviously they graded well, but when you have a guy like Chris Jones, 15.5 sacks, 77 quarterback pressures, a good D-line makes an average secondary or a young secondary look good, right? We talk about that all the time. So just by your eye test, L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie, what do you guys think of them? Are you guys high on them? Do you think the passion needs to be there, or what is it with those guys?
Joe, go sit down.
Yeah,
sorry, guys.
You're good, man.
No, but I'll take this one first. We think the world of L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. We think, L'Jarius Sneed is our number one guy. That's the number one corner on this team. He's one of the leaders on this in that secondary. They use him in so many different ways. They use him blitz packages. He's one of the best nickel rushers in the game. And when Spags needed him to cover our number one wide receiver, he did that pretty well too. And as far as Trent McDuffie, he's everything advertised. Yes, is he a little bit on the small size, but the kid is a dog. He can tackle, he can cover well. He did real good against Jamar. What was his name? Bengals.
Jamar Chase.
Jamar Chase. He did real good against Chase. He's really good. We have high expectations for him in the second year, and then we got
Hmm.
our other corners, Joshua Williams and Jalen Watson, who got a lot of burn last year too. Who we expect big things from those guys too, and then Brian Cook, our other safety, who's filling in for Juan Thornhill, who we lost to the Browns in the offseason. We expect big things from him too. So we have high expectations for the secondary all around. But with
And
9-5 not there, it is going to be a tall task.
It
the
changes
issue
everything.
is, yeah, the issue is that you're asking potentially the DBs to have to cover a little bit longer.
Yeah.
If we can't generate any type of pressure up front, which is not what I'm anticipating. I'm anticipating Spags being able to dial up a blitz, something to get Jared Goff out of rhythm. Because if
Mm,
Jared Goff stays in rhythm, they even if y'all only run 12 personnel all night, if he's in rhythm,
It's
he's I
over.
mean he's still one of those quarterbacks that can get it done and put up big numbers like that. You know what I mean? So we're gonna have to get pressure. Pressure is gonna have to be the name of the game.
Now
I
you
don't
do
I don't,
bring
I
up,
don't know if we generate it.
yeah.
Like I said, we got to hit it though.
Now you
yeah.
bring up blitzes, right? Jared Goff is one of the best quarterback against the blitz. So I'm telling you, Ben
Oh, I
Johnson and
know.
Jared Goff want Spags to bring that blitz.
Oh, I
Like they're
know.
asking for it.
I know.
So
I got one more question for you guys too. So we got obviously like the big news with Kelsey today that he suffered an injury and there's a potential shot that he might miss this game Thursday. Guy's tough as nails. I honestly expect him to be on the field. But even if he is on the field and he's limited, let's say, who do you guys kind of expect to step up as far as a pass catcher without Travis?
Sky
I
Moore.
go back.
Go ahead. Go
Well,
ahead.
I go back to this. Week one COVID. We got the Super Bowl rings. We hoisted a banner, and then you saw Clyde run the football and take the air out of the football in that game. We have the ability to be able to run the football and
Yeah,
take
for
the
sure.
air out of it. We can do it. We got three backs that can get it done. I mean, we don't have to be in a situation where Pat throws it 35 times in this game. We just don't have to. We can be more balanced, and maybe that's the recipe. We don't have to depend on let's look for a deep shot, or let's spread them out. Let's come out, let's run the football. Let's work everything underneath to Sky. And then we get the one on ones deep to MVS.
Mm,
We can get a little stutter route over the middle to Noah Gray. But we have the offensive line, we have the running backs to be able to run this football 20 times in this game.
are you guys concerned with your two new tackles with the year they had last year?
we
Taylor
were
and Smith?
Very
we
good.
were more so Smith than Taylor. I think Taylor fits this offense more than he fits Jacksonville's offense because he's more of an athletic uh, pass offensive lineman.
Right.
But as far as Donovan Smith, he was injured last year, and he admitted that he played hurt last year, and he said he probably shouldn't have been out there. But from what we've seen so far, and I know it's preseason, a lot of stuff can happen. What we've seen so far, he looks pretty good. He looks like he's gonna be like the mean left tackle that's going to throw everybody around. And, that's something that we, need on this offensive line, especially going from him to Orlando Brown Jr., who, Chiefs Kingdom, Orlando Brown Jr. wasn't highly recognized over here. We really didn't care for him. Did he do his job? Was he solid? Yeah, but we feel like we upgraded our offensive line, especially with Taylor and Smith. We're going from Orlando Brown Jr. and Andrew Wiley, who Andrew Wiley was a serviceable right tackle, but he wasn't all
Right.
that great. So
That's fair. All right.
so yeah, but as far as offense, yeah, I agree with Clarence. Pacheco is definitely going to have to be used highly. Running the football, and I know how Andy is running the ball. He really don't like it, especially you got Patrick Mahomes. He wants to throw it like 100 million times, but hopefully somebody gets in his ear and makes him run the football a little bit. At least a healthy balance of runs between him. Uh, Jared McKinnon and a little bit of Clyde Edwards-Helaire in there in the passing game too. Sky Moore, who we have high expectations for in his second year. Last year, rookies in Andy Reid's system tend to not play a lot of snaps. You got to be like
Right.
extremely special. But we expect a lot of big things from him in year two. And we have a guy in Justin Ross who last year, there wasn't a lot of expectations, and especially with his injuries coming from Clemson. But he's shown a lot in preseason, and I expect to see him in like the red zone. A lot of fade routes, in routes, stuff like that. I could see him him and Rasheed Rice, our rookie, could be used a lot too. I like Clarence said, MVS would most likely be on the deep shots down the field. So
Yeah, I loved Ross coming out of Clemson. He was phenomenal.
yeah,
Obviously, injuries have kind of taken a toll to his
Yeah.
career, but I loved him. He's like a first, second round talent in my opinion. When he was
yeah.
healthy, and then Sky Moore, I drafted him in fantasy this year, so I'm expecting big things out of him as well. People were clowning me when I took him kind of early. I'm like, I got Mahomes, I got Sky Moore. I'm feeling good about this stack.
Yeah, no, I expect Sky Moore to get a lot, especially in the middle of the field in that slot. I think they're going to use Sky Moore a lot, especially in that. They've already said they're going to use him kind of like in that Juju role. So I expect him to get a lot of touches this year. So, all right, fellas, let's start breaking this game down. If Detroit wins, if on offense,
Control the clock, right? And score touchdowns. If they could keep Mahomes off the field, sometimes you say your best offense, your best defense, and especially when you got an explosive offense like that, run the ball, drain the clock, but you got to score touchdowns. I think they got a chance to win.
Yeah, keep 15 off the field as much as possible. You got to own the time. If you can own the time possession of this game, I think you feel a lot more confident about winning this game. But once you let Mahomes in, especially if you guys are thinking about being more balanced this game, if 87 is on the field, I think winning the TOP is going to be very crucial for this Lions team of, potentially winning this game on Thursday.
what do you say, Clarence?
I mean, that's the only recipe for beating Pat is time of possession.
Yeah,
Put him in a situation where he has to go score for score for score,
Yeah.
and put the pressure on the young guys on the perimeter to have to come up with those plays. That's the only way. But if you allow him to get in the rhythm and let these young guys get that confidence, it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. They definitely got to play time of possession to make touchdowns. Feel like they got to, come at a premium. So they got to put that type of pressure on Mahomes to feel like he's got to score and maybe make him press a little bit to where he may throw a mistake, throw an interception, make a fumble, or one of these young guys make a mistake, a fumble or
Mhm.
whatever.
Mhm.
So definitely penalties too. Make us have penalties, false starts, anything like that could help out Detroit. Win this game.
Right.
All sides. I'll go on our side. Chiefs win if on offense. I'm gonna say if Mahomes is careful with the football. As long as Andy Reid is dialing up a balanced offense, like I said, between run and pass, these young guys, one of these young guys got to step up. If Sky Moore is having a good game, if MBS is having a good game, add in maybe Kadarius Toney. I don't know how many snaps he's going to get, but he's been practicing. So if Kadarius Toney can rip off maybe a big play here and there, I think that we have a good chance of winning this game. What do you say, Clarence?
I hang it all on the defense again. Defense is going to have to step up. We know what Pat's going to be. We know what this offense is going to be. Whether Travis is there or not, we know what it's going to be. It's 28 to 35, maybe 32, but it's high 20s, maybe 31, 32, 35, maybe. We know that. It's defense. The name of this one is can 11 guys play team defense and get to the football? Can these young guys show that in the second year that they've grown and that they're even better at that craft and they can cover again? We need to see these leaps. We know what we got in Pat. We know what Travis is going to be when he comes back or if he plays or whatever. We need to see who McDuffie is, who Jalen is, who Williams is, who Cook is. We need to see that. We need to see what these young guys up front are. So I'm interested to see, despite what they don't have, can they play team defense? Can these young guys continue to step up and make the plays?
Sure. All right, on Detroit wins if on defense.
They set the edge and stop the run. You stop the run and make the Chiefs a one-dimensional team. Obviously, it's still Mahomes, but you're prone to more mistakes when you do that. You force them to pass. Like I said, the young guys can lose confidence. Those young receivers, So stop the run, and you can't let Mahomes get out of the pocket. You got to set those edges. You got to be disciplining your gaps. You're not disciplining your gaps. I mean, shit, Mahomes destroys guys like that.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what you guys said about defense, is team defense, and it's a big test because we got a lot of new pieces, especially in our secondary. So I think communication is going to be, a huge question coming into this game, because it's going to be their first game really all playing together in a regular season game. Obviously, they had the joint practices with the Giants and Jaguars, which helps with communication, but this is the first real game that they're going to be all playing together with the Cardinal Johnson and Cam Sutton. Now you got the rookie Brian Branch. So communication, and like you mentioned, kind of with your defense, is like you got to be able to play team defense, all 11 guys, whoever's on the field. The nice thing is it all starts from the front seven, and we feel confident about our front seven because these guys have all played together. They're used to the system already. There's not much of an adjustment there. And, like you guys said, if you have a good front seven, you can get pressure on the quarterback. That obviously helps out your secondary. So if we can get pressure on the quarterback on Mahomes and get in that backfield and limit the run game, you feel a lot more confident about your new secondary in their first game.
Sure. Well, Clarence already kind of broke it down for us on defense, but I'll reiterate that we just need to get pass rush. Somehow Spag's gonna have to dial it up. Another name that I didn't mention, who I could think would be a key blitzer in the nickel, is probably Shamari Connors. He's a rookie that we drafted. He's really good coming from the nickel and blitzing, especially with Jerry Sneed being kind of limited as far as a knee injury. I don't think Spags will use him as much in the nickel. They might probably send Shamari Connors a little bit more. You might probably see a lot of safety sets. So, yeah, I think it comes down to getting pressure and making Jared Goff maybe throw a couple of interceptions, or maybe make him have a fumble to give us an extra position here and there. So, we could possibly get a score off of that. So that's probably the key for us on defense. All right, fellas, let's go ahead and do it. Score prediction. What we got?
Oof. Pierre, you want to start?
No. We typically do our prediction, when we see the inactive list and all that stuff.
Yeah. Here, I got one. This is gonna be a fireworks game, guys. You're gonna get a shootout. Not saying a Rams and Chiefs from 2018 shootout type vibes, but I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. Defenses, like I said, we got a pretty new defense with us, and then you guys are missing a big crucial piece with Chris Jones in this game. So, let's go 35-32. I'll take my boys in blue to win this game. Upset alert.
Right on.
Yeah, no Chris Jones, no Travis Kelce. Those are obviously two big losses. And I know you still got Mahomes and Andy Reid, but I feel like Detroit could maybe take advantage a little because Chris Jones is a fucking dog. Like, he's a monster. He's up there with Aaron Donald. Maybe people don't talk about him as much, but I always stress it. This guy's a top 10 player in the NFL.
Yeah.
So that's a massive break for us. And he opens a lot for George Karlaftis and all those other guys because he gets doubled and other guys get single. So without that, I feel like your pass rush is going to take a slight hit too. In terms of your D-line, I know Spags loves to blitz, but in terms of your D-line, I feel like it's going to be a little tough to get pressure on our O-line. So I'm going to take the Lions, let's say 31-27.
Nice. Go ahead, Clarence.
I hate this, Chris. Don't rush me.
You're just like me, Clarence. Oh, that's funny.
I'll go 34-28. Chiefs.
I got 35-28 Chiefs.
All right. So, we both got like a one-score game.
Yeah. So
I at the very least, I honestly had the Chiefs winning all the way till today until I saw Travis might not play. I'm like, and it's close to the season, so
Well, he might play.
Optimism is going to be kicking. Yeah, he might still play. Yeah, obviously,
Yeah,
but
we'll see.
yeah, optimism obviously kicking in as we get closer. The thing I could guarantee in this game, or at least I hope, I hope we don't drop an egg. I just want a competitive game at the very least.
Right.
That's really much all I ask for, and I think that's what we're gonna get. I think it's gonna be a good competitive game by both squads. And hopefully the good guys on our side pull out, but we'll see.
One thing that I realized is the NFL, when they make the schedule, you guys have the Bills, you have the Bengals on that schedule, you have the Eagles, potential Super Bowl. They're like, no, we're giving it to the Lions. So the NFL believes in us too.
Yeah, they're expecting a good game. I mean, they're expecting a good game.
So I'm expecting a really good game, close, tight game. Maybe honestly might come down to whoever has the ball last. Like it could be that type of game,
Yeah.
And whoever obviously turns over the ball last will probably win this game.
For sure.
I agree. All right, fellas, man. Appreciate y'all coming on the show. Like I said, man. Yeah, man. You guys definitely came through and dropped some knowledge on us on y'all team, man, and we appreciate that, man. Hopefully Thursday's a good game, and let the best team win.
100%. Appreciate you guys for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us, man. We appreciate it.
Where can people follow you guys at on social media and stuff?
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm on DLFP Tweets, and on Instagram, I'm at Detroit Lions fan page.
Yeah, on Twitter, just my first and last name, Tyler Sawa, SAWA. And then you could find our podcast page at the Pride Podcast on Twitter and on Instagram, and then any podcast platform. If you guys listen on Spotify, Apple, we're on all of this. So whatever you guys listen to your podcast, you could find us at the Pride Podcast.
All right, fellas, man. Good luck for the rest of the season too, man.
You guys as well. You guys are a great team.
Hopefully we'll see you guys in Vegas. Who knows?
Maybe.
Absolutely. Hey, man, that's my dream, man.
I would love that.
Right on. All
right, all right, take care, guys.
All right, take care, guys.
Say, man, we ain't gonna keep doing score predictions on Tuesdays, brother.
What, man? Our show is on Mondays and Tuesdays.
Okay, we can
look. We can revamp it on Thursday when we do pregame.
Because you don't know who's gonna be out by Thursday, Friday, Chris.
I understand that.
You're killing me with these score predictions on Tuesday. I don't know who's up and who's down.
I'm doing it for the show, man. We got guests on here. We trying to.
Yeah, I got you.
No, but no, we can revamp it on Thursday. And for everybody who's watching, remember Thursday. I live in Vegas, so we have 2 Chief bars out here. I'm gonna be at the number 2 Chief bar, Jackpot Bar and Grill. We're going live, broadcasting live. Pre-game, halftime, and post-game. So rock with us, man. We're gonna be taking y'all up into the game. We're gonna be talking about what we see in halftime, and we're gonna be talking about post-game. Also, we're gonna be having special guests coming through. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Some of your favorites in Chiefs Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your favorites gonna come through,
Mm-hmm.
chill with us, and rock with us and talk about the game. So be there, you know what I'm saying? Jump in the live with us, jump in the comment section. Joe, I know you're in here. We need that energy. It's crazy.
Jamal Charles 2.0. Sit down.
I heard that. I saw that Justin Watson comment.
Yeah, I ain't studying that.
Anybody think about Justin Watson?
No, but him.
He gonna watch. He gonna drop a pass. Watch.
Yeah, he gonna drop one.
And I'm gonna cuss Joe out.
Mm-hmm.
Tony drop.
He the biggest supporter. Yeah.
I'm cussing Joe right on out.
Joe Justin Watson supporter. I don't know how.
Yeah, shut up.
No.
We ain't even got there yet.
Ain't no damn Hollywood. No way I ever seen. No, no damn Justin Watson.
Not cheering for Justin Watson.
Yeah.
That's that
Clean
Utah.
that up.
That's the Utah League.
The intramural Utah League. Yeah.
Where are you at? Denver, Utah, same difference.
Yeah, same difference.
So, all right, man. Let's go ahead and land this thing. If you look down at the bottom, you'll see the link emqpodcast.com/locker-room. If you go to that link, you'll see all the locker room access of all the podcasts under Every Morning Quarterback. They got a Patriots one, they got a 49ers one, they got a Jets one, and they got ours, Arrowhead Chief Podcast. Click on the link. You'll see all our episodes from the past all the way to the recent ones, and go ahead and subscribe. Get all the episodes. Also, check their podcast out. They've been running a lot of episodes. They actually had Scott Hansen on today.
Really?
Yeah, they had Scott Hansen on the show today. So go back and check it out. Check out his interview. You know, Scott Hansen's real good NFL Network, and he's good on the red zone. Yeah,
Yep.
man. He does his thing on the red zone. So go ahead and check it out, man. Shout out to them. They talk about everything league wide. They talk about college football. Even give you betting tips for all my bettors out there. You know what I'm saying? So go and check that out. Shout out to them over Every Morning Quarterback. And whatever streaming platform that you use, Arrowhead Chief Podcast is on there, whether it be Spotify, Apple, Amazon, Google, Stitcher, whatever. Whatever you use, Arrowhead Chief Podcast is on there so you can listen. Because not everybody wants to do YouTube. You know what I'm saying? They want to listen. They want audio. They want, whether you're working out, driving in the car, you're at work. You know what I'm saying? You got one of them jobs where you put your headphones in. Boom. Listen to us. You know what I'm saying? Listen, get your Chief news from us. Whatever social media platform that you use. You see that right above Clarence, that AH Chief Podcast? Go ahead and follow that on all streaming platforms, whether it be Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We on all of it. Threads, we on that too. So go ahead and follow us, man. We'll follow you back because Clarence, what is our motto?
Apparently we Hollywood. Look, here you go, right on cue. We Hollywood. We Hollywood.
See,
Sit down, Joe.
This is what you get you banned. This is what gets you banned.
Yeah, sit down.
Wide receiver one. But anyway, whatever you
Boy
follow
couldn't
us,
run a comeback route to save his life right now. Hamstrings are popped like two tires on the freeway. Help!
But yeah, follow us. We'll follow you back. Hit us up with feedback and critique. You know what I'm saying? You got some questions or topics y'all want us to bring up on the show? Hit us up, man. And we'll hit you back. But just talk to us nice and normal. And don't come at us with no funny style stuff like Joe. You know what I'm saying? Because we will come to your house. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah.
But still, hit us up, man. We'll hit y'all back, man. Well, until next time, till Thursday, people. It's going down. It's going down.
Kingdom.
Let's go. We got this. We good. Relax, Chiefs Kingdom. We all right.
We're going to be straight. We gone.